Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on where in the world you are. It's Wednesday, it's o'clock. It's o'clock somewhere. It's 10 o'clock if you're in Central, like our guest is. It's 11 if you're Eastern. It's 4 if you're in the UK, like I am. It's the time. It's Benivo time. It's the world's first mobility tech show. And we've got a fascinating show for you today. I'm delighted to say we've got a live case study with Phillips 66. What an iconic company Phillips 66 is. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be finding out all about Phillips 66, about where that 66 comes from. We're going to be talking to Angela Rodriguez, who's the Director of University Recruitment and Relations at Phillips 66. And we're going to be doing a live case study. Yes, a live case study as to how they manage their early career, their intern programs. So I think everybody knows how this works now. Join the conversation. Let's find out who's there. I can see Steve Brock's come in from Southern California. We've got Emily Lix from France. We're getting people from all over the place. Mike Quigley coming from Ace Relocations out in Silicon Valley. It's great to see you all coming in. It's a great show that we've got coming up for you today. Let me tell you about some of the shows that we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks, because today's show is great, but I also want to sort of hook you in for what we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks. I'm delighted to say that if I go forward 1 week, we've got The View from the Top is going to talk about talent and diversity, obviously hugely important issues. And our special guest is Kimari Yowell of Rock Central. And I know Kimari, she is an amazing speaker, communicator, educator, and you're just going to love the show we've got lined up for you next week. And then the week after that, Benivo Bites is back again, and that's going to be a live case study with Verizon. So yet another chance to have a really live case study to find out exactly what is going on. So we got some great shows lined up for you. And what a show we had last week. I thought last week I wasn't there. I was relaxing. I hate to say this, I don't want to make you jealous, but I was relaxing by a pool and on a beach on the Algarve in Portugal with my family and having a great time, lovely time. And in my absence, the show was looked after, was guest edited by the legend that is Peggy Smith and by my great, fabulous colleague, Michelle Durkin. And what a show it was. We were talking about mobility for good, mobility giving back, and the feeling that was coming out of that, just listening to it or seeing it on catch up as I did. What a great show it was. Anyway, let's move on. We're on to today, and the first thing I want to do, actually, I'm just looking at all these comments coming in, people coming in from all over the world. It's great, from India, from Nashville, from California, from Texas, people coming in from all over. But what we're going to do is we're going to start off with our immigration update. We always like to have a short immigration update each week. So you know how it works. Once again, we have Julia Onslow-Cole. So put your hands together virtually. Let's hear the applause. Let's hear the thumbs up sign, the love buttons. If you hear anything wonderful, the light bulb button. And let's welcome the one and only, the legend that is Julia Onslow-Cole. Julia, lovely to see you again. So, how's it going? I missed you. Yeah. Anyway, so what are you going to be talking to us about today?
The UK today, the UK immigration.
Okay. If you want to know about Portugal, I'm actually a bit of an expert now, having spent my week there and caught one of the last flights out of Portugal before they changed the rules from the UK system from green to amber. So it was a bit like a scene out of Saigon or something, but we got out in time. We were lucky, actually. We went out on our scheduled day, but there were plenty of people who were scrambling to get out before the rules changed. But tell us about UK immigration, Julia.
Yeah. I mean, I do think it's actually worth mentioning to people, though, Brian, what we were talking about before the show about the track and trace. You know, I think it's worth mentioning to people that are travelling back into the UK that the track and trace system is much more vigilant than it was before. And there's a number of people now that we know that have had fines for not quarantining. So I think that's... Fiona says, are you starting to advise about immigration, Brian? Yes, very dangerous.
Actually, let me assure you, I am not qualified to advise on immigration, and I wouldn't want to. That is definitely not anything I'm going to steal your thunder.
So I wanted to just say a couple of things about UK. The first is right to work checks. So all employers, must do right to work checks. And, it's really important that they do this, because if they don't and it turns out that someone doesn't have the right to work, then they could be in the UK illegally and employers could be fined. And so the important thing is that the UK government had a concession which they gave employers, saying that because of COVID, you didn't have to do face-to-face checks. But that concession is being withdrawn, and I'm on the Home Office stakeholder group, and I joined a call last week to say that it definitely would be withdrawn, the concession, on the 21st of June, and we're waiting for the Home Office to give guidance. We haven't got any yet, but it means that people who have immigration status already, that's fine, because they can confirm that with the existing online system, because if they have a biometric residence permit. But it's for sort of British citizens, Irish citizens, those who want to apply for the EU settlement scheme but haven't yet. Those people cannot do it online. And, the question is, will they be made to go do a physical check, or will they have to put their original documents in the post? So we don't really know that yet. And we're waiting anxiously for an announcement. And I asked Gemma Hislop, who's the wonderful person at Fragomen, who helped me prepare the materials today. And she was just checking minute by minute before we came on, just to make sure there was no guidance released today, and there hasn't been. But this new guidance will also say what's going to happen going forward with people under the new system post 30th of June. And there's no need for people retrospectively to check those European citizens that were here before the 30th of June, but for new European citizens that are taken on after the 30th of June, then they will have to be checked. Now, that brings me on to the second point, which is that the EU settlement scheme deadline is the 30th of June. I can't believe where the time has gone. It seems like it was such a far away deadline, and now it's right on top of us. There's 5.4 million people who've been registered, but no one knows what, the whole figure is, because there's no independent metric. And over the weekend, I was contacted by a few anxious people. And one of the people I was in contact with over the weekend was very concerned because her husband's Italian and they couldn't manage to get on the app. And then they tried at 4 a.m. and they managed to get through. And I think what's happening now is there's a whole surge of applications. And what you have to really be very mindful of is that you must apply. So if you qualify, you absolutely must apply. I mean, it will affect things. Obviously, it affects your residence, but it will affect, what happens to you if you leave and come back, and your experience at the border, if you want to renew a mortgage, if you want to access the NHS. And a lot of people are failing to realise that children must apply too. So if the parents have applied, it's not sufficient for the children. So the children must make applications. And when I was talking
to a whole generation of people who are...
Yes, this is what everyone's been saying from the outset. So it's very, very important everyone applies. And also, when I was talking to the Home Office, they say that often, there are delays in the application or problems because people think they've applied, but they actually haven't pressed the submit button. Yeah, Fiona's very helpfully just saying that there's a huge surge in applications in France from British citizens. So again, that's the other side of the coin. But it's very, very important that people look at this deadline. And then the other thing to say is that on the 1st of July, there's going to be a new graduate scheme. So international students will be able to work, and they'll be given 2 years if they're studying for a normal degree, or 3 if they're doing a PhD. And then they can switch that status onto a different, more long-term work status. And this is incredibly good news for all companies out there, that all universities, and they're basically the international student industry, which is, as we know, is worth millions and millions to our GDP, and very, very good for international students. And Gemma was saying to me today that, when you're looking around the world, and US and Ireland, everyone else offers this kind of work permission. So it really evens the playing field for our education system. And then 2 final points. The first is that the government is absolutely committed to making it easier for employers in the UK to employ overseas citizens. And they really, really want to have and aspire to have one of the fastest schemes in the G20 countries. And the second, which is obviously very, very positive. And the second thing is that the government will end the use of ID cards for travelling. So they will no longer accept ID cards because of a lot of forgery. And they will expect people to be travelling on passports. But also by 2025, everyone, and that means everyone who's coming into the UK, will need a universal permission to travel, which is going to be called a UPT. And the idea is that this gives the government more information about people before they travel. So it's a bit of a whirlwind, really. But I think just the biggest thing is, please, everyone who's eligible to apply under the EU settlement scheme, just, get onto that right now.
Because we are in the last few days of this. This is very important. And from immigration professionals' point of view, this is a really busy time to be dealing with things now. A quick question's come in from Diane. Any update on the young professionals for Indian national visa route yet? No, I haven't heard anything further about that. But I'll have a look at that, Diane, for you, and I'll send you a message on LinkedIn. Okay, well, thank you so much for that, Julia. We're now going to move continent. And whilst we've been looking at the UK and Europe, we're now going to be looking at the US. I'm delighted to say our special guest is Angela Rodriguez, who's the Director of University Recruitment and Relations at Phillips 66, really an iconic oil and gas company. So without further ado, we're going to say goodbye to you, Julia, till the end of the show, and we're going to bring Angela onto the show. So you know how it is. This is Angela's first time on the show, so let's give her a really warm Benivo Bites welcome. Hit that applause button, get the likes up there, get the hearts up there, and let's welcome Angela to the show. Angela, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
This is your first appearance. How do you feel?
I feel a little nervous, but it seems like a good group. So thanks for having me. There's Mark. I know Mark. Thanks.
Yeah, so Mark said, welcome, Angela Rodriguez. It's all the comments are coming in, and the hearts and the likes were going. But so, Angela, tell us about I mean, obviously we've met and we're having a chat earlier in our little our virtual green room. But for the people who are out there, tell us a bit about yourself. How did you get into the role that you've got? Tell us a bit about your career journey.
Sure. So I'm a math major, so now I'm in HR, so kind of a weird journey or weird transition. But I was going down the actuarial path, so I interned and then went on full time at what's now called Willis Towers Watson. I worked for, I guess, 8 or 9 years in their benefits consulting group, working on employee benefits plans. So everything except retirement benefits, medical, dental, wellness, all the things an active employee would have. And then when Phillips 66 split off of Benivo Phillips, I transitioned over here into the benefits group at Phillips 66. So got an opportunity to work on, starting almost a company from scratch. Even though we're an old company, it was like a new company, working on our benefit plans. And then a little over 5 years ago, made the transition into university recruiting. So I've had several different roles in this group, but now I oversee our university relations and recruiting group.
Okay, so there's not that many people who start out as math majors going into actuarial science and then go into HR. It's quite it's a pretty unusual career route into HR. I think that's up there with, we had somebody on the show a few weeks ago who wanted to be an FBI agent and somehow didn't get into the FBI, so went into Homeland Security and then got into mobility that way. But, it's getting up there. I mean, math major, actuarial science into recruitment. I'm trying to work this one through, but
I don't know.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, that's fair. And tell me a bit about yourself. I mean, you've got 4 kids, did I hear?
Yes, we're busy. Yeah. So I have 2 and 3-year-old boys. So they're definitely, for those of you with young kids, they keep you on your toes. It's never a dull moment. And then I have a 17 and 19-year-old stepchildren. So we've got all the things from college to diapers. So everything in between. So lots of fun, never a dull moment. And we're trying to add a dog in the mix because, why not?
And do the elder ones babysit the younger ones, or
only if they get paid? Yeah, they seem to find themselves busy quite a lot. So no, they get along very well. Yeah. Okay.
So I suppose we ought to get down to talking about Phillips 66 and what you do. But tell me a bit about Phillips 66. Actually, I'm going to ask. I know you know the answer, but I'm going to ask the audience. Okay. I mean, Phillips 66 is an iconic company, and there's that big orange ball, and I know it's obviously a hugely well-known company. I know you've got billions and billions of revenue. But where did the 66 come from? Okay, that's the question I'm asking. I know but I'm asking out there to our audience. So that's going to be our fun fact for today. Where did the 66 in Phillips 66 come from?
Do you have prizes?
Sorry?
Do you have prizes if someone gets it right?
We give them applause. We'll give them a round of applause and a big smile and a thumbs up. So let's see whether we get any answers coming in. But meanwhile, tell us a bit about the company.
So we are an energy manufacturing company. So we do not get oil out of the ground, but essentially once it's out of the ground, we do everything from there. So we refine it into usable products. We have a chemicals piece. We move it around the country or export it where it needs to go. So pretty much everything except exploring for the oil. Seen lots of comments come in on Route 66.
Yeah, so what they're saying, Route 66, does it go through their headquarter location, Route 66? Let's take that one. Does Route 66 go through your headquarter location?
It does not. It comes close. Well, our old headquarters, Bartlesville, Oklahoma, it comes close to there. But in Houston, no, Route 66 does not come close to here.
Okay, Matt Chic, who's going to be joining us shortly, our man in Palo Alto, 2 9s upside down.
Not quite.
Okay. They're all going Route 66.
Yeah.
Steve Burson says 1866.
No, it's a little before our time.
Okay. So tell us.
All right.
Okay.
So for those of you, many of you guessed Route 66. So the rumor is that our our founder, Frank Phillips, was driving down Route 66 at 66 miles an hour. And I think Brian, you added this fun fact to me. The weight of the gasoline was 66.
Yeah, I mean, this is according to the source of all knowledge,
right.
Wikipedia.
So there were lots of sixes involved.
who said that the specific gravity of the gasoline that they were developing was also 66, and they thought all these 66s coming together, and they thought,
there we go.
The idea will be we'll make ourselves 66. But actually, I found the Wikipedia entry quite amusing, because as you read it, and I don't think it was written with humor in mind, it pointed out that you have operations in 65 countries. I think it's more than 65 countries, almost like they're trying to tease you.
Just one more. We just need one more.
You know, that you're 67 of the global 500. It's like, sort of either way, they were trying to tease you. It's not quite 66. But anyway, it's a huge company, operations all over the world. And you don't just operate under the Phillips 66 brand, do you? You've got other brands elsewhere.
Correct. So we have the 76 brand, the Conoco brand, and then for those of you over in Germany or the UK, you may be familiar with the Jet brand. So that's our big one over in Europe.
Okay. And tell us about what you do.
So I oversee our university relations and recruiting group. So that really comprises kind of two components. The relations piece is we have relationships with about 20 different universities that we give money to. And so our group is responsible for partnering with those universities, making sure that we're tapping into the best talent there, that we're investing in whether it's scholarships, whether it's diversity initiatives, whatever is important to us at that university, we partner with them there. So we oversee those relationships. And then our team doesn't do the recruiting, so we're not the ones on campus interviewing and doing the actual hiring decisions, but we help provide the resources for those that do. So each of the business units, finance, IT, engineering, they have someone who kind of runs point on that, and we support them. And then we also run the intern program across the company. Okay,
and you report into talent?
Yes, so talent management.
Within mobility, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I think this is a really point. You know, a lot of our audience are mobility professionals, and one of the points I like to make, and I think, you know, what you're saying really sort of goes to that point, is that the number of people that move on mobility program is often a tiny fraction of the number of people who actually move within an organization to start work. And a lot of the moves are people who are moving who will never actually touch the mobility function at all. And if we take, you know, your case as a case in point, all the interns that you deal with, you know, they're moving to start work. They're not moving as part of a mobility program. They're moving as part of an early career or an intern program. So tell us about the intern recruitment that you do. Tell us about the numbers and the shape of that and where they go and all that sort of stuff.
Sure. So our interns for this season started 2 weeks ago. So we have 150 interns across the company. 50 of them are based here in Houston. We have 17 in our Bartlesville, which is our other corporate location, and then the rest are spread throughout the field. So at our refineries, at our pipelines, at our terminals. So about half of them, a little more than half, are engineers. So we do a lot of recruiting for different engineers. Okay. And then we have 70 new hires that started with us this year, but really our focus with Benivo is geared towards the interns, because like you mentioned, all of them are moving, right? Whether it's from college to their work location, wherever they're coming from, they're all moving for the summer for their internship.
So what might be a sort of a typical distance that they're moving? I mean, are they moving cross-state? Are they moving, you know, from a major city to a remote refinery? What's the sort of...
Yeah, it definitely varies. So, you know, here in Houston, we've got an intern from Utah. So he, you know, had never been to Houston before. He was kind of coming in blind, not knowing, you know, what to do. We have an intern in Houston from New York, but then we're sending people to remote locations like Borger, Texas, which I never heard of until I, you know, came to the company. We're sending people to Billings, Montana, which is a beautiful location, but maybe not that familiar to some. So it kind of runs the gamut.
And tell us about the demographics of the people that you're moving.
So we have about 40% are female this year, and another 40% are people of color. So this is one of our most diverse intern classes to date. So we're really proud of that and excited about that. But again, they're coming from 43 different universities, going to 15 different locations. So everybody's experience and needs are totally different. And that's where Benivo has really been an asset to us to help them.
And the typical age profile, we're talking about, what, 21-year-olds?
Yep, 20, 21. So, some of them are getting to legal drinking age, so they're experiencing new cities at an exciting time of life.
Okay, so what we're talking about is moving what are fairly young and in some cases maybe quite, not that worldly wise. I'm sure they would deny it, but people who you're moving, it's often their first work experience, often their first experience of living away from home. Well, I mean, they've been at college, but apart from being at college, and they're moving a long distance. So they're quite a vulnerable group to look after in many ways. They need, they're a group that you need to have a level of care about.
They definitely are, right? They're technically adults, but as you said, they're moving for the first time. They're living not on a college campus or not near a college campus, so doing different things. And so I think they're looking to us to be a resource to help them. And so, we feel good that Benivo is there to help them not only find a place to live, but to help navigate the logistics of the moving process and the logistics of the city that they're going to. Because for those of you in big cities, you can go from a great part of town to a not great part of town, in a heartbeat. And people, they just don't know those nuances of the city. And so Benivo is really helpful.
Okay.
And giving them peace of mind.
We'll bring Matt on in a moment, and we'll actually go through and do a live demo of some of the platforms so that people can see what's happening. But just what were your original goals and objectives when you were sort of looking to, to move up on this program and to work with Benivo?
Yeah, so we tried a couple different things. We have a couple years ago, we housed all the interns together, and that worked well and didn't work well at the same time. So we also had received a lot of feedback that, interns, they're at a point in their life where they don't have a lot of disposable income. And so to pay for deposits for apartments, to pay for moving expenses, a lot of them were having to borrow money. They just didn't have that income up front. And so one of the things that really attracted us to Benivo was, one, helping the interns find safe places to live and short-term leases, because that's really important. And then also giving them the ability, the pay me back or the pay me later feature, where interns can essentially get a loan from Benivo up to $1,900 and then pay it back. So that's been really impactful to help the interns not have to worry about some of those upfront costs that they don't have.
Yeah, I mean, that's using our fintech solution, Pay Later. And I know a lot of people really love that. And I suppose why wouldn't they? Because it's effectively, a free advance of money to somebody at the time when they really need it. I should mention in this, actually, we've talked about Phillips 66 and Benivo, but this is actually a three-way partnership because it's done via BGRS. So BGRS are very much in the mix here and provide a lot of useful assistance and information as we go through this. I mean, it's been, obviously it's been a tricky year. That's probably an understatement. Tell us about, I can see you're in the office, which you're probably one of the few people actually out there that's working in an office. And I know you guys in Texas are pretty much back to normal and you're sort of mask free or nearly mask free and you're all working in offices and it's as if nothing had happened. But tell us about the pandemic and how you how you handled your program during the pandemic.
Sure. So a couple of things to address your point earlier. We have been back in the office for a year. So we were at home for 3 months, but now we're back. Our refineries are an essential industry, and so if they were going to be at work and able to do it safely, then we felt that we should be too. So we're back in the office. For our intern program last summer, our interns out in the field, so at the different refineries, they were in person. And then our corporate interns, they were remote. So we did a hybrid approach last year. And, one of the nice things is that we were able to honor all of our commitments to interns. So we felt really proud about that. And then also we continued to, even though a lot of them weren't relocating to a work location, we did continue to offer them the housing relocation services because we didn't want to make assumptions about their living situation. And so some of them still needed access to those services.
Okay, so that's quite unusual and very forward thinking. So you're offering relocation services even during the pandemic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, felt it was the right thing to do because a lot of college leases or dorms were closed for the summer and maybe they didn't have the best situation at home, and we wanted to make sure they had a place to live that they were comfortable for the summer if they were going to be working remotely.
Okay, I'm going to bring Matt into the conversation from Benivo. So let me just bring Matt up. Matt, how are you doing? How's Palo Alto?
It's great. It's sunny.
Excellent.
So that's the best way to live.
Excellent. And I think most people in the audience know that you recently relocated yourself from Valencia to Palo Alto, and we featured you a couple of times. And you've got your family coming out at some point in the future to join you, I believe.
Yes, very soon. Very soon. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, well, let's just carry on talking about the Phillips 66 and the program there. And maybe we can start getting into a little bit about talking about a demo, because I'm sure people will want to see a bit about the actual platform. So, Matt, do you want to sort of just open off and maybe tell us a bit about the co-delivery model that we use and how that works, and then maybe you and Angela tell us a little bit about the actual platform.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Angela was explaining, we have so this is a code delivery with BGRS, who's been working with Phillips 66 for a number of years. And code delivery, in terms of just some easy mechanics, we're a supplier to BGRS. BGRS is bringing us into the equation for Phillips 66, and then we teamed up on content as well. So there was a big objective was around making the house hunt process easier. And so we have the Benivo digital tools for that. We have the social insights feature to collect knowledge from one intern class, keep it on the system so that that's available to the next intern class each time they go through another their new move for the first time, but it's not new for the people who did it last year. And so we combine all of that data with also recommendations that were provided by the BGRS team for good accommodation that they know about in each area. So we did a bit of platform customization with the BGRS team.
Okay, and I just want to go back to this point we were talking about earlier, actually, Andrew, because we've had a few comments coming in. Rob Zeitz from Air Inc. saying, very thoughtful to consider the living situation of younger employees during the pandemic. Not everyone has an ideal at-home situation to work from. And then another comment here from Bindu. Rob Zeitz, absolutely. That's the age when they need more hand-holding. It is emotionally a tight patch for them as well. So I think a lot of kudos for you, Angela, for everything you're doing there to look after people.
No, that's great.
Hopefully it won't happen again, but at that time.
Hopefully not. But I mean, you're right. They're very young still, right? And they look like adults, but they're not necessarily, comfortable doing some of the things we've all had to do in the past. So we're glad that we were able to help them. Okay.
Interesting comment here coming in from Mena. She said, do you provide them with cultural difference awareness classes?
We don't. I guess the short answer is we don't. I guess nothing formal. Everybody, all the interns are assigned a mentor at their work location. So, for instance, I think we have some interns from Colorado going out to California, right? So that could be a big cultural difference. And so I think a mentor really is there to help you kind of do some of that or help with some of that adjustment period and understanding the climate and the culture you're coming into, but nothing formal, to your question.
And one of the benefits, I suppose, of the Benivo platform is that they're learning from each other anyway. So
Correct.
whilst it's not formal, they're getting that informal digital water cooler conversation that is people sort of telling them, bit of information. So Matt, do you want to start talking us through some of it?
Yeah, let's look at some highlights.
Let me just bring that on screen. There we go.
All right, I'll show a couple of the things that Angela was talking about earlier. So here we are on the Phillips 66 Benivo platform, which is powered by Benivo and BGRS together down here. And as you can see, you can't mistake that it's Phillips 66 in brand and imagery. So the whole thing is meant to look as an extension of the in the intern case, it's really the joining experience to the company, and an extension of the HR team welcome. So let's look at a couple of the main features.
Let me just come in there, Matt. Because the question I just wanted to ask Angela is that this is for the interns. At what point do they get access to this? I mean,
so historically, so for this 2021 intern class that just came in, we gave them access to the platform towards the end of January. We have decided for next year, so our 2022 interns, that we will give them access pretty much immediately after they accept their offer. So we're going to use it as part of the recruiting process and one of our recruiting tools. And then when we start making offers for the upcoming interns in October, September timeframe, they'll receive access to this nearly immediately.
And they do the internship in August?
They do the internship June through August.
June through August. So they've got access to this for what, about 7-8 months or so, from the date they get the offer to the date that they actually start the work, the internship and beyond.
Yes.
This is interesting because we did some research with one of the business schools a couple of years ago, and we found a surprisingly high number of new starters don't actually turn up for work on their first day. You get a lot of no-shows. I think you call them renegs.
Yes.
I mean, tell us a bit about that. And I mean, is that part of this? Is a way of keeping engaged with the employees before they start work?
Yes, we did have a pretty high, or for us, I don't know if it's within the industry, but high for us, renege rate on the interns backing out. I do think some of that was related to COVID, and that some people weren't totally comfortable being in the office or being at our work location or being away from family. But one of our plans for next year is to try and engage the interns more regularly in between that time they accept and the time they start, and hopefully mitigate some of that. And so I think Benivo is a great kind of introduction to them.
Got it. Okay, so Matt, please do continue. I just thought that's quite an important point to mention, the fact that people get access to this quite a long time before they actually start work.
Yes. So let's look at let's run through some of the needs that Angela was talking about that we're addressing on the tool. So first, the action section is that guidance through the relocation process when you're doing it for the first time. Also with including tips and advice from your colleagues who have done it before. Then you have your destination section, which is everything about moving to your new city. For the sake of example, here we are an intern going into Billings, Montana. Angela was saying that was one of the most beautiful Phillips 66 locations. So I thought I'd put that on display. I don't believe this refinery in the picture is Billings, Montana, though. As a pop quiz for you, Angela, do you actually recognize this refinery?
I hope no one's listening, but I'm going to say no. I don't know which one that is.
You could have said any of them, and we would have applauded.
I know. Somebody would have called me out.
Yeah, very good. All right. So in the destination section, we're covering all the basics you need to know. Most importantly, housing. Right. So we'll get into this in a second. It's the area orientation on your new city. guidance through the searching process, very importantly for young people, avoiding scams and frauds, and into the process of securing the new home, getting into a contract, things to look for, and so forth. And then next is over here on the homepage is the most exciting. This is the money section, exactly what it sounds like. Here we have the pay later feature, and you can access that in a self-serve flow. So let's take a look at that right now. So Phillips 66 is providing very generously a total of up to $1,900. In this account, I haven't requested anything, so I can just see right here how it works. I punch in my upfront costs. I get the money 1 to 3 business days, very quickly, depending on how I decide that I want to get it paid to me. And we offer a couple choices. So those choices are bank account, digital wallet, like a PayPal account, and also a virtual card. And the virtual cards are actually very convenient for making transactions online. So if you were going to turn around and use those funds to book short-term accommodation, then you can do it instantly. And so then after I get the money in hand, I get paid. Great day for being an intern, and I can complete my repayments after I am getting paid. So that whole thing happens on the platform. It's self-service, very easy, and I've started the flow here just to show a little bit of it. And I'm at the step where I'm punching in what my rental cost is going to be, and this is a little bit of how we're also collecting some helpful data for people who are going to move again next year. So
this is at no cost to the individual moving. This is a complete facility which is provided for him by Benivo, this pay later facility.
Absolutely. I would even say provided for them by Phillips 66. So Phillips 66 is the one authorizing the amount of up to $1,900. And correct, no fees to the employee, no interest to the employee, no additional fee for redeeming this feature. It all comes included in the Benivo license.
And so our interns are only in the US. So to Stephen's question, we don't have to handle currency conversion.
Yes, exactly. All right, so just to get a sense for here, so now the system knows in this instance that I found a place that's $500 a month in Billings, Montana, and I had to put down a $1,000 security deposit, and so that data is going to be in the system to give employees a sense for what to expect in different locations later on. And then I answer a few additional questions that help the system understand helpful information to tell to others. I said I found it online. It took me a week. We'll say I found it on Airbnb. And it was unfurnished. And I did negotiate a little bit down on the deposit, we'll say. All right, so I just wanted to give a sense for the type of information that is going into the platform that can help others, and then I get my repayment amounts. I can manage them up here, and that's it. I don't have to think about this anymore because the next step will be me logging a card. That will start after my payroll date. And then the payments will run automatically. I can also change the card. I get a warning whenever a payment is going to run. So it's all pretty self-operated after this point. But then the money will get to me, and I can pay for my house. And
tell us about the roommate finder functionalities, Matt. I know that's something else. And Andrew, tell us a bit about that, because that is unusual. I mean, most people in our audience who are dealing with expats or assignees moving, they're moving either on their own or with their family, but they're not looking for a roommate. So
right.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so this population, right? They're used to having college roommates, and housing can be expensive. We are providing them with a monthly housing stipend, and that amount varies based on the location that they're going to, but it's not meant to cover 100% of their housing costs. And so we want to give them an opportunity to easily connect with other interns, so they could have an opportunity to get roommates if that's something that they were interested in.
And that is exactly where the roommate finding tool comes in. So I'm over here in the action section. I've opened up the action of find a roommate, and I can go through a flow here that's going to kickstart this process for me. So let's say I am looking for roommates. I do want to add my name here. All right, great. And then what I'm going to go through is an interactive flow where I can actually build the profile for the type of roommate I am and the type of roommate I would ideally want. Because while we're all on the same intern program, we don't actually know each other. We're coming from all kinds of different places. So it's good to be able, when possible, to match yourself with other interns that will be a good fit for being a roommate. So we'll say you are answering some questions about borrowing things, and how about common use items. I'm a person who can take turns buying them, and I am a very clean person in all areas of the house. There's only one way to answer that question publicly. We'll say I am usually just cooking in the evening, and you can only make noise in the daytime. I like to sleep. That's an important thing for me being a roommate. No issues with guests. We can be a social house. I like the occasional small gathering and a party. I'm answering this as an old man. I'm sure the answer would be different as an actual intern. And then I get a list of.
You mean find a roommate, Matt?
Of other interns, and actually I will not show this data since it will be actual. But I get my list of other people who are looking for a roommate and who might have a good match to me. The other way that I can be social with the group, and this is a nice easy touch for Phillips 66 HR, is the WhatsApp groups. So we, Benivo, create and administrate this space. So this is a way that you can socially connect easily in a group with the other interns who you haven't met yet. And we kind of prompt, what the group is for and, why to use it. And, importantly, it's a way to easily socially connect, but no individual intern needs to be the owner of this space. And as well, Phillips 66 doesn't need to be the owner of this space. So Benivo is the owner of the space, and we can facilitate people joining or leaving at their leisure, but it's a nice and easy way to connect. So you can do that right there.
Okay.
All right.
There's a question that came in on pay later. Here it is. Are these ever paid before the intern is on payroll? And the answer is a clear yes, isn't it?
It's always paid out before, usually before people have started, so that they can pay their expenses with that money. But then the pay back is always always after payroll. That's the main benefit.
Right. So there is a risk, right, that someone could take advantage of get the money, the $1,900, and then not end up starting with us, right? They could be a no-show. So that is a risk, I guess, that we're taking, but it hasn't been an issue.
And so far in 2 years, the performance has been?
It's been 100%. Nobody's not shown up.
Yes, it's been perfect performance, which is consistent across the grand majority of Benivo's clients being the Fortune 500, recruiting good people.
Yeah. And another area that I think might be worth talking about, Matt, Angela, is this whole question of the welcome experience. I don't know if you can talk a little bit about how we deliver the welcome experience and the welcome gift.
Sure.
Yeah.
So talking about, go ahead, Angela.
No, go ahead. That's great. It's a good thing to show.
All right. So one of the things we were talking about long periods of time between being recruited and actually starting at the job. And there's a number of things that we can do on the platform to power that, keeping the engagement cycle going. And a really good one is the welcome gift. It's a two-part thing. First, I get to celebrate my new opportunity, my new arrival with Phillips 66 giving me a gift. I get to choose it. So I'll choose coffee. I'm a big coffee drinker, and I get a little info on the Starbucks e-gift card that I'm about to get. So it's a feel good, it's a gesture, but it is an act of the company thinking about me in this new circumstance. So now I've just received a gift. Now I'm gonna give a gift. I get to give it forward, and part of the experience is in one part giving to a charitable cause that I want to support. So let's say that I want to support a day of medical support. So I choose the cause. Benivo makes the donations. We make it once a year. We provide Phillips 66 the reporting on donations made by the intern group at large, and then I can also double that up by being a good giver, for lack of a better word, back to the platform, sharing my experience with relocation, enabling future colleagues to make good decisions, future interns to make good decisions in their relocation. And when I do that, I can double my donation to the charity. So if I input enough items of sharing decisions I made about my neighborhood and how much I paid for housing and a little bit of lifestyle in the new area where I moved to. So one area I can do that is over here in the community section. I can answer questions about my home city. I can talk about my move, the lifestyle in Billings, Montana. The settling in process, which services I picked and used for internet, or if I sign myself up to a good gym, or if I really liked a certain restaurant. Any topics that are good tips for the move. All I have to do is do 25 more of those insights, and I double my donation to the one day of medical support charitable cause that I chose. So that's a fun way to gamify the relocation experience. And if I really want to go big, I can answer 80 questions and we'll triple the donation. So the more sharing, the better, in two directions. One for my colleagues and for future Phillips 66 interns, and the other one for the cause that I want to support.
And Andrew, in your experience, how do people react to the welcome gift and the experience and the giving it forward?
They love it. So we have great feedback from that. They really appreciate it. I think it aligns with our values as a company, as giving back to the communities in which we live and work. And that seems to be also very important to the interns as well. And so it's been very positive, and so something that we're excited to be a part of.
Okay. And
yeah,
Matt, do you want to
getting great feedback
with some of the other features?
Sorry, you broke up. Tell me one more time.
Did you want to carry on with some of the other features in terms of?
Well, yeah, I thought I'd just at least flash the housing sections to see what's in there. So we have an area orientation, searching for housing, and each one of these are bite-sized modules that you can do yourself on your phone. You can come back to them whenever you'd like, and it gives you just quick access to critical info like the monthly prices I should expect. Up here in red are examples of what other professionals like me have paid in the past. The commute time that people are usually doing in Billings, Montana. In Billings, Montana, everybody is driving, you might see, and what types of properties they're choosing. And then finally, I can see on a map next to where I'm going to be working some of the neighborhoods and some example price ranges for areas around town. So just a quick way to explore the area. Billings is thankfully not that big of an area, but I can get a quick sense for around town and areas I can live. Just learn the neighborhoods really quick. And then moving on from there, I have the searching process, a number of kind of mini modules in each one. So I was looking before at visiting billings before I move, if I wanted to do that, and then going through the how to search process with insights from colleagues like me, so I can see what other interns are using in terms of short-term housing, like Angela was mentioning before, is a big, is the big challenge for the summer interns, and this is walking me through the tips and tricks for making that happen, with some insights from my colleagues and some recommendations from the BGRS team. So I just wanted to kind of give a quick sense for what the experience is like, and if we really wanted to make it real, we would bring this down to the mobile screen view, because this is how most people are using the tool on the mobile browser, on the mobile phone. And so, as you can see, it's a swipe experience from left to right, going through everything that I've showed on the platform is also available on the mobile browser and the mobile app. Maybe final quick one.
Most people use it on their phones in practice.
Yes, especially the younger demographics. Everyone is quite used to getting everything in life done through their phone. So we think that the guidance through the relocation process should be the same. And final bit here that we're looking at is a complete self-serve guide to shipping if you need to move some things, and walks you through the whole process from the introduction to the pricing, add-on services, avoiding fraud and scam in the markets. And there is tips and data points from your colleagues and other Benivo users of the platform right here. Each place we have this logo.
Okay, so Matt, I think I might just move away from the demo now, and let's just come back onto screen. So, I mean, we've seen a demo of it, but Angela, tell us what it's been like in practice, and in particular, where you think you're going forward next year. Where do you think progress is going to look like in 2022?
I think, like I mentioned before, we're going to start pushing this out to the interns right after they accept their offers. So I think that will help them get a sense of comfort for where they're actually going to, what location, because many times they're accepted an offer at a location that they've never been to. So we're excited about that. I think, there might be an opportunity to enhance some of the giving and the community cause support features. I think we're going to be looking at that. So again, this year, I would say we've had two, I won't say complaints, but two instances where interns have ended up in housing situations that weren't good, and neither of those used the Benivo platform. So we've had a lot less noise, and I think Benivo will just continue to become more integrated into our process and part of the intern experience and culture, which will be really great.
Okay. Matt, Angela, what about levels of satisfaction? I know we have all sorts of dashboards that monitor those. I don't know if you can speak to that at all.
Yeah, I just heard from Mark, our account manager that I partner with, that for this 2021 intern class, 9.2 out of 10 users were very, satisfied with their overall experience. And then for the Pay Me Later feature and the welcome gift, that was even higher, so 9.6 out of 10. So, really high satisfaction rate. So we're really happy about that.
Okay, well, we love having you as a client, Angela, and it's been great having you on the show. We're actually beginning to run out of time now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring Julia back onto the show so we can just...
That's fascinating, really amazing. I think that the support you're giving is incredible.
Thanks.
Okay. And I mean, clearly, from your point of view, Angela, you're dealing with, as we said at the outset, very young people. It's their first probably major work experience. They're probably very excited to impress because they're hoping this is the company they're going to work with longer term after their internship. So they're starting work long way from home. They're nervous. And what you're showing them, what you're giving them back is the love, if you like, that says that we are a caring organization and we want you to settle in. And we're getting a lot of hearts and applauses and claps coming from the audience here, which is great. We are, however, now out of time. So what I will do is say goodbye to everybody in the audience, to thank you, Angela, for your time today. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for doing the demo. And Julia, of course, thank you as ever for giving us the immigration update. Hopefully it wasn't too scary, Angela, and you had a great time. Yeah. I know you're a bit nervous before, but I hope you had a great time.
No, I did. Thank you.
Okay. And thank you, everybody in the audience, and we'll see you all again next week. Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Bye.